Hello, my name is Rye, and welcome back to the channel. I hope that you're all having another amazing day. I know I'm having at least a pretty good one. And welcome to the first video going over Set 2 for Battle Cores TCG. Oh yeah, no longer seeing Set 1 right here. Set 2, let's go. Now, before we get into it, a quick little announcement. I'm terribly sorry for having it be so long since my last upload. It's been, oh my gosh, a month. So, yeah, I am not going to go into a ton of detail. I don't want to bog down the video with all this, but I've just had a lot of personal stuff, and if any of you would like, I can make a community post talking about it in a little bit more detail. But I've just had a lot of personal stuff in life keeping me down for a while, and I'm glad that I'm finally able to get back into making some videos. They may not be quite as consistent or as prevalent as before, especially with the gameplay videos, but I'm happy to say that I can at least get back into making these Battle Cores videos. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump on into it. I do not feel like just sitting here and blabbing about my life for that long, so let's talk about something far more interesting, being the first card, World Watcher. World Watcher is a price 0/01 air elemental type monster with no effect. Not much to say about it really on its own. It's just a price 0 monster. It's kind of what you'd expect from a price 0 monster. It's just kind of like whatever, because the price is so low that I can't really afford to make it anything crazy. So this is it, and in spite of its great simplicity, it's actually incredibly powerful. I believe I went over it quite a bit in the last video, going over the legend cards of Set 1, so if you want to check that out, going over the Stormbringer section of that video, I discussed this card quite a bit. Pretty much just, it is a starter for that whole strategy, for being able to immediately get out your Stormbringer and start making your crazy plays and go for the OTK, pretty much, is that whole strategy. Apart from Stormbringer, because now that we're officially in Set 2, Stormbringer had been banned because it was too much. World Watcher doesn't really have a whole lot going on, but before that, it was incredibly popular in Stormbringer-based decks. Again, I go over Stormbringer in more detail in that video, and there is a link in the description to the playlist that has all of the Battle Cores videos in there. So check that out, as well as other important links down there and whatnot. So be sure to check out the description. The next card is Shredder. Shredder is a price 3 2/2 Earth Scream type monster with the effect Speed and True Strike. So it is price 3, so it's about as high as you can go without me really considering it super expensive, I guess, price-wise. It's a 2/2, so its stats are a little underwhelming for a price 3, but it has a really good combo of offensive effects, being Speed and True Strike. Before we get into the effects, I'll go ahead and quickly discuss the typing. Earth means that it functions well in Mountain of the Giants, which is this card. It is the main, it's basically the Tree of Vitality for Earth monsters. It's the main field card type buffing card for Earths. The Scream type doesn't super matter. It's unfortunately just one of those types that just has not gotten a whole lot of support over time, but it's not necessarily a bad typing per se. I don't know, it's kind of whatever. The real thing that you're running it for is because it's an Earth monster and it has Speed and True Strike. Speed literally just gives you one additional attack that does not temper the card. So it's basically a better active. Active allowing you to just immediately attack on your turn. Speed gives you an additional attack, and so sure, if you don't have active, then you're still not going to be able to use your card's inherent attack, But with speed, you get one attack the turn that's summoned, and then on the next turn, it gets 2 attacks. One of said attacks, like I said, not even tempering it. So if you have any effects that are based around tempering cards, you could attack with this thing and then temper it with, for that. Not that there's anything of the such in set 2 as far as I know, but later on, when more of these kind of concepts are explored, it could pop up. And then True Strike is a little annoying to explain without just giving examples, but long story short, it allows you to deal additional damage to the opponent. I have a plethora of other videos going over in more detail what True Strike does and how it works, and I also have a link in the description to the rules, and if you scroll down to the bottom of that, of the rules for this game, there is a whole section just for keywords. Those keywords will just explain every single word that you could find in these card effects and what they mean and what they do and how they work and all that good stuff. So just go there, find True Strike, read about it, and you should be fine. But that's Shredder. Not a whole lot else to say about it. And the next card that we're going over is Ori Blast. Ori Blast is another one of those cards that was used quite prevalently in Stormbringer, and then as soon as Stormbringer fell out, it kind of fell out as well. But so far, it is probably the best Ori monster to be made. With this card, the only 3 that we have is Ori Quake, Ori Drown, and this card. And it is easily one of the best ones for the whole archetype as a strategy. Even though it's not a whole lot of a strategy, it does work very well. Ori Blast is also the cheapest card, and a very key point is that it's priced 2, which is important for Divine Discovery and whatever it's called, Divine Works, which are both specific support cards for the Ori archetype. Anywho, not going in a ton of detail with that. I have the whole series for set 1, and I have a video in that one going over Divine Discovery, so if you're interested, check out that one. And in the future, once I get through all the monster cards, I will start going over the support cards for set 2, and I can go over in more detail there. But anyway, Ori Blast is a price 2, 1/1, so 1 power, 1 armor, air scream type monster with the effect Ender, so when this card is discarded, quick summon 1 Ori monster. That's pretty good. I mean, a price 2 with an effect to just quick summon a monster is really, really, really strong. And sure, the Ori archetype on its own, at least in my experience, doesn't typically tend to be enough to be a super powerful strategy just on its own without some additional support outside of just Ori. But that is really strong, and being able to have this thing be discarded, and then quick summon an Ori Drown, and then search out this exact copy of Ori Blast and get it back in your hand is really, really nice. The only downside, besides it's an Ender effect, so the card has to be discarded, which in some cases can be an upside for when it comes to playing cards that need to discard other cards. Any card with an Ender effect is a phenomenal target for such effects. It says quick summon, which means it doesn't specify from where. And if it doesn't specify from where, it is assumed to be from the deck. So you cannot quick summon Ori monsters from hand or from the ground zone. They have to be from the deck. And only from the deck. So it is somewhat limited. It means that some of your better targets may kind of become garnets to some extent. But it's still a price 2 with the effect to just quick summon a monster, okay? Like, you really can't complain very much. That's a really good effect. But yes, that's Ori Blast. I don't have much else to say about that one, so the next card is Rogue Bulb. Rogue Bulb is a price 3, 2/1 light robot type monster with the effect Startup, so when this card is summoned, Startup, summon 2 light elemental tokens, which are 0/1. So, as is the case with all of these early on made token-based effects, this is not how this would be written out and worded nowadays. I would format it a little bit differently to have it be a little bit more uniform, make a little bit more sense, but because this was so early on in the game's lifespan, I hadn't quite worked out all those kinks yet. So, unfortunately, it's worded a little bit strangely, so I'm going to say what it does by nowadays standards instead of how it would work if it was written like that nowadays. So basically, it allows you to summon 2 tokens that are light elemental type, and they are 0/1, so 0 power, 1 armor. That's how it was intended to work. You could also say that it has the name Light Elemental token, and that would be fair. I would say that that makes sense, and I would not argue with you if you made that point, but it is meant to be Light Elemental types. It's the same exact concept with mini-bots. The way that was written, it's meant to be robot type, not just robot as the name. Same exact concept. But yeah, so you play this card, and sure, it's only a 2/1, so stats-wise for price 3, it's even more underwhelming than what Shredder was bringing to the table, but it immediately throws down 2 bodies on the board. They're just 0/1s, and they're light elemental types, so there's not a whole lot of synergy to go around, but you're getting 3 bodies for the price of 3 points. So that's really not that bad. The next card that we're going over is Brock of Rock. Hey. I feel like that emoji is quite fitting. Anyway. So, Brock of Rock is a price 5, 3/5 Earth Elemental with the effect True Strike and Speed. So the same exact effect as Shredder, so it works the exact same way as Shredder. It's price 5, so it's quite expensive. But because of that, it has far better stats. Sure, it doesn't have a necessarily better effect, but it's a perfectly usable effect. And it's Earth Elemental type, so that Earth type is nice because of Mountain of the Giants. Mountain of the Giants gives +1/+2 to your Earth monsters as well as giving them active. So if you have that in play, this is functionally a 4/7. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. A 4/7 with True Strike, Speed, and active, so that is quite terrifying. So this is a very intimidating monster if it gets in play. Also, it's an elemental type. That is important because of the one piece of elemental support in set 2, Elemental Burst. You just get to duplicate an elemental monster. A lot of these elementals are not always super worth actually using an elemental burst on in a lot of cases. This is not one of those cards. This card is definitely worth elemental bursting and duplicating, making a token copy of this card, so you can get 2 for the price of 1 additional point. Really, really strong. So definitely a great target for that. Pretty decent card. Really expensive, so it's hard to play, but it's not that bad. Especially if you're just playing for fun with some friends, you're less likely to have crazy optimized decks, and so you're likely to get to turn 5, so run a copy or 2, why not? It's a good card, I like it. The next card, and the last card that we're going to be going over for this video, is Reef Dweller. Reef Dweller is a price 3, 3/2 Water Beast type monster with the effect Life Rain's effect is doubled. Okay. Let's discuss Life Rain. This is not the support card video, but I'll quickly discuss. It is a price 1 field card, gives +1/+1 as well as upkeep, so basically a better startup once per turn as well as the turn that it's summoned. +1 HP to all active water monsters. Reef Dweller is, by its effects design, one of the best abusers of Life Rain. If you're running Life Rain, you're probably running at least 1 or 2 copies of this card. You're not going to run a ton of them. It is price 3, you know, and you need Life Rain in play to really get much use out of it, and so it's kind of limited in when exactly you want to use it, but when you do want to use it, it's good. It gains, and see, this effect applies to everything, so all of your water monsters are gaining double the effects of Life Rain. So if you have even just 1 Life Rain in play, suddenly all of your water monsters are gaining +2/+2, as well as they all, for each one, give you 2 health per turn. Each give you 2 health per turn. That's quite a lot of value, I have to say, just for 1 point when it comes to Life Rain. And then an additional 3 points for Reef Dweller, so 4 points in total. And you get quite the effect. And so with just 1 Life Rain in play, it becomes a 5/4 for 3 points. Not bad, honestly. And it's a Water Beast type. Water Beast types get quite a bit of support in set 2 and whatnot. Beast type gains quite a bit of support. Water types gain a bit of support through stuff like Life Rain and whatnot. The combination of Water Beast type gains support through Frogleon, which is a card that we'll go over in the future. And yeah, so that's Reef Dweller. Pretty excited about this card. I don't think it's necessarily game breaking or like a staple in much of anything besides Life Rain. It's not a phenomenal beast card on its own. It's mainly being run because of the water typing, and that's the main thing that it's used for. But with any beast synergies that are there, I could definitely see a water beast focused strategy existing. Anywho, so that's Reef Dweller. Quite like the card, and I quite like a lot of the cards that we went over today. And if you made it to the end, I would like to thank you all so much for watching for this far. If you are enjoying the videos, there's a couple things you can do. Obviously, all the YouTube stuff. Like, subscribe, blah, 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 you know all that stuff. Let's see, you can also not just comment on YouTube, you can comment on the official Instagram page for Cores TCG. And if you do, and you comment on these cards, just like with what we saw with Brock of Rock, I'll mention it. I'll toss your name out there, most likely, especially if it catches my eye. So check that out. And to do that, then check out the official Cores TCG Instagram. Again, there's a link in the description for it. If you want to see a lot more of the more recent cards, be sure to check that out. And yeah, that's about all I have to say. So again, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, type in the comments down below. Welcome back. Anywho, I hope that you all have a blessed day, and fare thee well.